Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I am going to be talking about the transit Mercury in Aquarius. And I think what's interesting about this transit is that, first thing I'll notice what's interesting, is that it's making its transition, of course, from Mercury in Capricorn. And when Mercury transits Capricorn, a lot of thinking is more orthodox, generally more conventional. It's more about people sticking with their true and their tried methods of doing things. And when you have Mercury transiting Aquarius, a lot of that is more, you can really be a little bit maybe more ingenious during this time and really more open-minded to new ways of doing things. I mean, it could be like getting that Wi-Fi doorbell in when you were just using just general surveillance equipment before, or just making sure someone would be home all the time to screen people coming to your door, and really when maybe just new innovative ideas you might be more interested in. I mean, it could be, and even during this transit, I think too, you have a little bit more unpredictability in speech. People can be a little bit more extemporaneous in what they say and say things that might surprise or shock people. I mean, keep in mind, Aquarius and Uranus is associated with electricity, so I guess the shocking could be maybe figurative as well. I'm really being facetious, but you understand what I'm saying. People can be more surprised by certain things people say during this time, and because of the spontaneity in their communication. And this could be a period too where you might think of maybe some original ideas and thinking of new ways of doing things. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a patent on some original innovative idea during this time. Although if you are somebody that's an innovator, this could be very auspicious for you during this time, because this might increase that ability as far as doing something ingenious during this time. But what it could mean is that you just might kind of have a little MacGyver kind of thing going on. You might be, for example, you might be able, maybe a greater propensity to improvise and use your mind in ways you didn't think you can use before. Taking some items and making something out of it that you really didn't think you had, or you just didn't think of previously. I saw something on Facebook one time where it said, it was a caption that said MacGyver must have been here, or something similar to that. And it was something like somebody had a plug, and then they connected like some nail clippers to it and maybe some other odds and ends, and they connected it to the outlet in the wall. And I thought that was funny. But what I'm saying is that could be like an example during this transit where you use your mind to greater potential during this time, perhaps, as opposed to other times on average. And thinking might be more progressive and futuristic during this time. You might be thinking it might just be thinking about what life may be like in the future. For example, you might be thinking, will a time machine ever be invented? Thinking about flying cars, and really thinking, looking into ideas, getting into more about new technology, and seeing things that might be futuristic, and that's a lot, I think, what comes with this transit. And kids might be more into, on average, more into things connected with electronics and computers, and even like model rockets, for example. I mean, it does Uranus, Aquarius, this is all associated with aerospace, and people might just be might have a greater interest in science during this time. I think one thing that's interesting about when Mercury transits Aquarius, in many places, the weather is colder during this time, rather cold during this time when Mercury transits Aquarius. It's often in that heart of the thick of the winter time. And you could have difficulties with telephone wires, for example, and maybe ice getting on them and causing them to snap or break as a result, and consequently having to perhaps call the electrician or electric company in that area. And Uranus and Aquarius is associated with electricity, so I think that's interesting. And also keep in mind too that Uranus and Aquarius, this is associated with Uranus rules the electrical, they rule the nerves in the body. And it's interesting because during the cold weather, people that have nerve damage, nerve pain, even including myself, hey, I have Uranus almost exactly conjunct my 6th house cusp, imagine that. And when the weather's colder, many people may complain that they're feeling more pain due to their nerve condition or nerve problem they have due to their nerve damage, and it could be exacerbated during this time when the weather is colder, and people could be talking, and when you're complaining, of course, you're communicating about that. So I find that very interesting during this transit. And anyway, people, one last thing is that people might be more interested in unusual and esoteric subjects during this time, such as astrology, for example. And well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the transit Mercury in Aquarius. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be talking about the transit Mercury in Pisces. 2 things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.